Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane, and I'm delighted to actually be joined not only by my two regular co-hosts, but our guest is actually a previous co-host. So, Scott, hi.
And hello to everybody out there. Welcome.
And David.
Good evening. It's lovely to be back again.
And as I said, our guest, Patricia. Patricia, thank you so much for joining us for this program.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. So glad to be back. I was going to say to see old faces, but we'll delete the old bit. They're all looking very fresh, I have to say. But it's just lovely to reconnect and exchange. We've been chatting away like mad already, so it's just lovely to see you, lovely to see everybody out there as well.
So thank you for joining us. Now, our topic, as always, our guest chooses, radical self and soul empowerment for this and the coming months. So Patricia, for those who aren't aware of you, share a little about yourself and actually why this topic.
What a good question as ever. You just come in with the nub of the whole thing. It's an interesting one. For me, I think, since the late 80s, I've come through the mind, body, spirit world. I've been in and out of, I was a Reiki master for many, many years, and I've studied all kinds of things and everything. So I was on a real learning curve, which is wonderful. And then, I don't know, probably only about 8 or 9 years ago now, I just suddenly thought, no, I'm going to take away some of those layers of, dare I say, conditioning or programs that one can receive from Reiki and things. This is the way you've got to do this. It's, it's slightly like that. I think I had to break free from that to enable my divine feminine to really liberate and be who I now love to be. And that is channeling, visualizing. When I sit with someone, I step into their energy with them, and I seem to get the past lives with them, and we can see what's happened. And together, using, of course, Creator's energy coming through beautifully, we're able to, hopefully remedy some of the things that are kicking off for them. So, to me, I don't actually have a label anymore for what I'm doing. I'm just being, I think, and I go with whatever comes in, and love, divine love is at the basis of it all. And I have these conversations with Creator. And you actually sparked one off. It really did make me laugh, because you came on and you said, what would you like to talk about, Patricia? And really quite quickly came in this radical soul empowerment, self and soul empowerment. And, and I thought, okay, radical self and soul empowerment. I thought, right, okay. And I sat with that for a while. But I knew exactly what it was. And we're having, this is a lesson for me. And I know I'm now including all of you in it and everybody that's listening. But the lesson is actually listening to ourselves, but consciously, very consciously. If you're faced with a really big dilemma or problem or decision coming up, rather than just doing it, I was going to say willy-nilly, that's not the right expression, I'm not getting it, but you know what I mean, just sort of saying off the cuff, I'll do that or I'll do this. It's about just sitting with it, taking it away, taking it back, sitting with it, and really allowing it to embed, for the soul to give permission, rather than just the limited self, as it were, to bring in all of the dimensions and that's what I've learned to do, and I have had some really big decisions to make this year. And so what happens, usually, or what used to happen to me, and I think this is why they brought this in specifically for me, I used to second guess myself all the time. Am I doing the right thing? Well, no, maybe I could compromise here and I could do this, but that person might be unhappy. So wait a minute, if I bend even further backwards here to accommodate what they might be wanting, because I don't want to upset anyone, And I used to go on like that, and it's not that long ago since I used to go on like that. I think I probably, a lot of people might say, oh, you're quite hard at times, because I worked in the banking system and all that, and I didn't escape it without picking up some other horrible habits. But, I really am quite soft, so I will always think, oh, as long as that other person is okay, and but there are times when you really have to sort of say, well, this has got to be for my higher good and the highest good, and for God's highest good, whatever that message coming through needs to be. And it's not about the little me, it's got to be about the big me, and spreading, that word of love out. And when you do that, when one does that, then it is for the highest good of you and everybody else that you're dealing with. There'll be something in it that will also help them improve, if you like. So that was, when you asked me what is the subject going to be, I was going through one or two situations. I've just been through a clinker of a situation which I've really had to deal with. And that's what I did. I didn't do it on my own. I think in the past, some of the really big ones I've probably done on my own, or I thought I was, but no, I brought in Creator, God's help. So I brought in my soul, and I think everybody could do that. I hope most people listening to us are meditating or tuning in and connecting with Spirit, connecting with Creator, and asking the question, is this the right thing for me? Yes or no? And then taking it from there, no compromises and things like that. And I suppose that's a very black and white position, you'll be thinking. But and I suppose life is everything in between that too. And I think there are times when we know that we need to maybe not be so black and white. Again, that's me probably going back into to compromise mode as ever. But I think compromise, is a good thing. I think one has to really exercise it in relationships and things like that. And I'm not really talking about that so much as just some really big decisions that need to be made. Just looking at some wee notes that I have here, my recollection not quite being what it used to, coming up to the old 75 this next year, so I'm grinning and bearing that. But anyway, yeah, I've written the same things most of the time. Just consult your soul, no second guessing, no negotiating, no compromising. And because I think God just likes you to listen and get on with what needs to be done, So how does that resonate for you guys? Is it too black and white?
Life isn't meant to be black and white. We're meant to live life in full colour. And full colour is that full spectrum. And I don't think what you're talking about the radical self is the black and white. I think that radical self is the full colour. I really do think it's the full colour. Let yourself be the golds and the silvers, the purples, the yellows, the greens, the blues, the reds. Let yourself be that. Because actually the black and white, people are used to that. But when you go into full color, you're going outside that box, that black and white box that they're trying to push us into. You know, be inside the box. If you're not inside the box, you're being bad. And I think that actually relates to a conversation we were having earlier before we even started this. We won't go into that. But allow ourselves to be in full color.
Yes.
Not in black and white. So David, Scott, who would like to? Yeah, okay, Scott.
So I love that you brought this up. I was just speaking with a friend of mine, and she's working with a place just north of Boston called Minot Mist, and they do a free flow. In other words, they will have 5 different modalities and classes going on at the same time, and you're allowed to go and take what you need and go to walk and get up and go to the rest. And they were doing a kind of a soft opening, and people were reluctant once they sat down to get up after they feel like they have gotten what they need, because they didn't want to be rude, they didn't want to interrupt, they didn't want to, do you know what I'm saying? And I love that being in full color. I in working with people, I ask them about, tell me a time when you felt joy. And when you ask them that, I have had to ask people, do you know what joy is, what it feels like? Because there are some people that have not had it for such a long time and have been living in the black and white and shades of gray that they don't know what color is. And color is living in full color, is living with that joyousness, that openness, that vulnerability, that, hey, let's just do this. I love this subject because that's where the soul empowerment comes from, doesn't it? Isn't it? Haven't you found that when you're allowing your soul to kind of speak through you, that everything becomes more vibrant. The energy that you have, the love, the connections, all of those things in your life, they just become so abundant. And you feel like you're living in abundance because you feel full all the time. And that's when I feel soul empowerment comes from, that empowerment of being in living color, in being able to, and loving life, this life, and being grateful for absolutely every single minute, every single hour, every single day. And when you live that way, there is such a joy in life. Sara, you bring this every day. Every time I've had a conversation with you, my girlfriend says, I know when Sara's on. I said, why is that? She says, I always hear her laugh. She laughs. She says, I know her laugh. She listens to the conversations, and she knows when you, because you are in constant high spirits, because you are constantly smiling and laughing and full of joy. And that's what you give in all of these aspects, and everything that you do, you give of yourself in that way. And it's that fullness. And I am just, for anybody watching this, if you can emulate somebody, these beautiful people on this panel, please do. Please understand that they give of themselves freely. They want nothing more than for you to be free of all the conditioning, of all the shouldn'ts, of all those things that you carry, of all the traumas, of all the hurt, to be free of those, to be able to live fully in the moment present.
Thank you, Scott. David.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. Thanks, Scott. I want to go back to where you were saying, Patricia, about coming into your own.
Yeah.
And I think you most probably experienced the same as me at some point, I would imagine, that when I first came into this life, or I was pushed into this life, however you see it, I hid myself away a lot because I didn't want to say, oh, I have this idea, I do this, and I do healing and stuff like that. And you put yourself away and you don't encompass your whole being. You've got all that skill or you have all that passion in there, but because you put yourself down, you're not shining as bright, your light as bright as you could.
Yeah.
And it was only just recently on a project I'm working, I realized that when I was forced to stand out and I had nobody behind to stand behind, boy, like you said, Scott, the amount of miracles, I'll call them, and special things that happen because they you come into yourself. And the more we hide ourselves away or feel embarrassed about ourselves, we are shutting down so much of what we can do and what we can receive. And I think that's this spiritual emergence of standing up and saying, this is me, this is my power. And like you said, Patricia, not going by necessarily the programs, you have to do this, you have to do that. It allows each individual to be as bright and as shining as they can be. And therefore, you can give more, which then you're doing the service more of what you want to do. So it's, not hiding and just shining your light as brilliant as you can and let your soul do the talking.
Yes. Yeah, that everything everyone said makes total sense to me. And I'm beginning to get slightly self-conscious about wearing a grey and white jumper. You never do anything with accent, because normally I'm a very colourful person. Yeah. But yeah, no, you've said some beautiful things there. I love that. And I think what it will do for me, because I do love colours and things like that, but I think I will wear them more consciously. And gratitude really is my second way of life, tuning in with prayer and everything in the mornings. But yeah, a lot of what you've said has really resonated with me, with my heart, with my soul, because I just feel I've been through, since I stepped back, I think, Sarah, from being with you, I've been through, well, I think I've had some major operation, all that, carry on. But, I have changed a lot. And when the doctor said, "Oh, you've just lost 2 pounds, Patricia," I said, "Well, that's great." I said, "That must be the bit you cut out of me then." And he says, "Is it not your diet?" I said, "Well, it could be." But anyway, when you think about it, you're bound to lose something. But no, I mean, in general, my life, I feel, is very exciting. And the words that you're all saying really resonate with me. And I'm just going to continue on that vein. But I honestly, when I lifted this morning, I thought I better have a wee look at what I said to Sarah for this chat. And I thought, crikey, Riley, I really just had to go through this. It was a big decision, and I had to sit with it, tune in to the God and Creator, one, of course, but and make sure that I was, and for me, it was absolutely the right decision that was taking place, and for everybody else involved. So, and that felt really good. So I'm just going to build on all that. Next time you see me, I'm going to be wearing a rainbow top and a big and all kinds of things. So thank you. Thank you all.
I should have left on the cardigan I was wearing for the last program, because Scott and I've just done it, but I have got colour in this one.
I see it. I do. It's lovely.
But actually, Scott, I love what you said about you asking that question about feeling joy. And maybe each of us should answer that. Yeah, there you go. Let's chuck us in at the deep end, shall we? Because when you said that, do you know, one of the things that gives me so much joy is when I can see the stars at night. When I've got a clear sky, I can look out, and at the moment, there's Orion right in front of us, sort of in the southern sky, and it was just like, yes, and I get so much pleasure out of that. And when I can see the moon, I get so much pleasure out of that. But it doesn't matter. I say good morning, even if it's a cloudy morning. I say good morning to the sun and the rain, even if I can't see the sea and the sun. You know, it's a joy of life. It's a joy of the gifts that we get to see. We've got so many birds in the garden, but we've got a pair of robins at the side. I've seen the little wren just recently, and the sparrows and the blackbirds, and we've got the pigeons. And I saw a magpie today. You know, the leaves are coming off the trees. But what do they say? It's like nature teaches us the beauty of being able to let go and to go into rest. So then as nature comes back in the spring, and you see the little sprouts coming up, and then the snowdrops and the daffodils, and it's just so, nature is such what brings me joy? Nature brings me joy. So, Scott, you started this.
Yes, I did. I was trying to think of the times in my life when I felt that ultimate joy. Holding my children when they were first born, holding my grandchildren, looking into their eyes, understanding if they were an old soul or a young soul. You know, a little old Italian lady said to me, "Look when you have children, when you have grandchildren, first thing you do is you look in their eyes. You'll be able to tell if they're a young soul or an old soul. An old soul, you'll know because they've been here before. They have a knowing, they have an understanding of things way before they should." And I always did. And I mean, one of my grandchildren was a young soul, and the other two were very old souls, and they're very self-sufficient, very, been through this life. I love that bringing of life into the world. Some of the greatest joys for me and the greatest sorrows when I lost my parents, and I was able to be there. And there was because of a sense of gratitude for everything that they gave to me as they passed. I was holding their hand. That to me there was a sense of joy and gratitude in that moment that I was able to give as much as I could to them. And the joy, as you said, Sara, when I was in my worst, I went to Al-Anon. And in Al-Anon, they talk about gratitude. And that's where I first truly learned what gratitude was. And it brought me out of my darkest times, because the very first meeting I went to, they said, "All right, we're working on step 4 today, and it's all about gratitude." And that moment, I could not think of a single thing that I was grateful for. That's how my life was. Now, if you ask me what I'm grateful for, I could go on for a couple of pages.
Yeah.
And it's just perspective. And it's that, for me, gratitude is the gift that I was given that allows me to see joy and experience joy in every single day. How's that for an answer?
Brilliant. David.
Yeah, I'm very much on your wavelength, Sara. There may be 2 things that bring me joy. Well, there's a lot of things, but the two things that are coming to me at the moment. One is just being out in nature, being at one with nature. I can just sit there and I can lose myself in time, and I just connect in and think, oh, you're home. It really is our true home, to be a part of nature, because we are part of it. We're part of the whole ecosystem of it. And when I get the chance, and I would love I got a beautiful home here. We have a lovely home, access to many things, but I would love just to be out in the country and just have that view to wake up on in the morning of the trees or a babbling brook or something. I know it's a cliche, but being in that environment just lifts my soul. It really does. And it can be so inspirational in there as well. So you're kind of opening up. And for me, it just takes all, I call it rubbish, all the stuff we don't need from being in that environment of, we walk down this road, there's that, and we've got to think about this, we've got to think about that. And now in nature, all that just goes, and you think, I'm just being me and not everything else that's coming in. So that's really my joy, and my joy, the joy is my work. I know when I step into the different things, it just lifts me. It's just where I feel I'm meant to be. And then if I take a week's holiday, I feel there's only half of me, and that joy kind of goes. So my holidays are not always 100% free from my work, because I like to connect in with myself now and again. So they're the two things that really bring me joy.
Patricia.
Thank you for that, David. Lovely. Thank you for what everyone has said, because, it's music to my ears, positivity and that level of enjoyment that you've absorbed, all of that, because I think that comes out in all of you when you speak. And we can hear that resonance. And I say music to my ears because music has given me such amazing joy all my life. Sort of was singing from I was 8, and my mother was putting me in for competitions and everything else in Glasgow, good Lord. And I ended up singing with, really big orchestras and whatnot. And I sung some of the most amazing works by Verdi and Puccini. I'm going to cry if I talk about that too long, but it just touches my soul and my whole being. And the thing was, I was such a high soprano. And I can't do any of it now. More of a double bass now, I have to tell you. But, just being able to do that and, aware that the voice, it was just pure, it was clear. And when I look back on that, I don't think I was grateful enough for that at the time. I took it for granted a wee bit, but I've made up for that since. But that and we go down most days. We're not far at all, just a couple of miles from the sea. And there's a little car park we go to, and it's like sandbanks. So all those big schools of birds come in, starlings and all the different things, and they start to make these amazing displays in the sky, making shapes, and I just feel like all you do as well. It just makes your heart burst with love, with joy, and valuing. And I think in some ways I'm a bit sorry I didn't come to that a lot earlier. When I look back, I think, oh gosh, I wish I'd really been like this when I was younger, because I kind of went through a nutty stage till I was, interestingly enough, 33, when my father passed away, and that was such a blow. My father accompanied me at everything. He had his own band and all this, a wonderful musician. And that was a real change in my life. And that was when I stopped being a party animal and became a kind of, don't know if normal's the word. I don't think a lot of people would agree with that. But anyway, anyway, I just love being here. I nearly passed in that operation this year. I nearly bled out. They came, they said to Bill, you know, we can't do it. We're waiting on another consultant coming in. If he doesn't come in, it's, you know, poor soul had to deal with all of that. And God saw me through. God wanted me here. So I can assure you, I really feel as if I've had a second bite at the cherry. I'm going so shivery as I say this to all of you. They're definitely here with me. So I'm going to cry, sorry. But I really do feel that whatever it was, God, you wanted me here to do it, and I'm trying to do it. I'm writing more and things, and I've got more to be, but more to write for Sara and bits to do. So just doing what we can to help and love people. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So thank you all for your beautiful accounts of joy in your life. It's just gorgeous. We really all should get together. I don't know how we get together. I know we're together here, but how could we get together? We could have a meeting on a spaceship somewhere. So how about that?
Oh, that sounds good.
I think we're all going
to get.
Yeah, I think we're all going to travel
to airport.
I think we're all going to have to travel to Bournemouth to visit with Sara.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be brilliant. It'd be lovely to. I'd love to. So many people have been on these programs, and obviously the ones that you and I do with David and Gail, and there've been other people doing those as well. It's amazing, and keeping our energies high. Our radical self is our being true to ourselves, is being able to speak from our heart, being able to speak with complete our truth, our understanding of ourselves, our lives, awareness of, and being able to have those conversations. And I actually do this quite a bit. I have conversations with people. I found LinkedIn to be a brilliant place to connect with people. I think I'm pretty certain, Patricia, that's how you and I connected initially on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and
so many people there who've been guests on programs over the past 10 years, and being able to have these open conversations that within seconds you feel you know each other, you can talk to each other, you can have you can say things and not be worried about what people think. Because actually they get you. You get them, they get you. And yet you've never, ever met before.
Yeah.
And these connections, when you're allowing yourself to be, whether you want to call it radical self, but true self, and speak from your heart and from your complete understanding of yourself, or not complete necessarily, but at least a really good understanding of yourself. Having those conversations is really empowering. And so I would say to anybody listening, open up to finding those people you can have open conversations with. People that are not going to bat an eyelid if you say, I've had lifetimes on other planets, because I have. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else here, because everyone is special in their own unique way, and no one is more or less special than anybody else. It's what is my intention? What intentions do I bring to what I share, to what I bring? And my intention is always for the highest good for each individual. And that will never deviate from that. It's not for me to say, this is what you should do. You must do this. You must do that. This is what I make a suggestion. And I would suggest connect with people. Find that, what do they refer to it as being your tribe. Don't know whether I like that terminology, but find the people that you can speak to that speak your language.
Yeah.
Totally
Patricia,
agree.
you said something about flow. I think you're being able to do flow, and that is when I first got into this and looked at this when I was doing Reiki. They said, "Oh, you're in for a ride." I said, "What do you mean?" Because every time I learned something, it was A, B, C, D, E. Right? It's linear, right? You go on to the next step, next step, next step. Said, "Oh no, no, no! It does not happen that way. You go here, you go here, you go here, 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 and something catches your interest. You go over the here, and then you go down that rabbit hole, and you find out other things, and then you find people who you can talk about dragons with, and you can talk about their unicorn, and then you can talk to them about galactic travel, and then you can talk about dimensions, and then you can talk about, oh my gosh, being able to be open enough in your own understanding of all of those things, and know that and this helps, by the way, having people all over the country. You're in Scotland, you're in Ireland, you're in England, I'm in the US, and we share same experiences. We're so far away and so diverse, yet we share so many similar understandings. Our experiences are very similar in a lot of aspects. If I talk to you about different places galactically, you all have the same kind of experience with dealing with those galactics, and being able to talk to people who don't roll their eyes or just walk out the door because you mentioned something. Yes, finding the people that are on your vibrational level, wherever that is. We always change. We're always there. But if you've got them in your bandwidth that you can talk to, that you can have an understanding, that people just kind of go, yep, that happened to me. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That really makes a difference in how you see and view life and your perspective. And the safe space. One of the true things that besides fear of marriage, that came out of Peru was I lost that. But I also understood that my job in this life is to hold space for everybody in my life, for all of the people that I deal with, for all of the people I deal with in hospice work. I hold space, and that is one of the gifts that I can give other people, because when I can hold space, they feel safe. When they feel safe, they can open up. When they open up, they can free themselves of those things that they need to free themselves from, and to walk through and walk into the next and take the next step and take the next step on their path. And that's, wow, that's amazing. And I was taught Reiki, I was taught polarity, I was taught theta, I was taught rise therapy. I was taught all of these modalities, and they all have set rules, right? We are all taught very set rules and whatever. And when you put them into practice, it all goes out the window, because you're dealing with the person in front of you, and they don't fit into a category. You give all of your understanding, all of your learning, everything that you have, in order to for that experience for that person, because they are all individuals and they have individual needs. And there are certain points that they need connected to be able to do to do the healing. And so I love that you are throwing off all the rules, right? The rules you were given, open them up and say, okay, let's go. That's wonderful. Very
We
freeing.
have a question, but David, let's come to you first.
Yeah, thanks. I want to go back a little bit to something you said, Patricia, and that was, for many years, you've been bending over backwards, maybe to accommodate and everything else. And I think I would say 100% of the people that step into a service kind of life or a service vocation, we all want to help everybody at the same time and we can do everything for everybody. It happens. And you said about leaning over backwards so we can help all of these people. However, when we're leaning back and trying to adjust to every individual, we're trying to make ourselves fit in every compartment, and we may not be that person. And so that is the right person to help them, but we're trying to accommodate. Therefore, our light doesn't shine maybe as bright as what it could do. So we are adjusting ourselves to fit other people. And that's fine. We're here for a service, and we're here to serve. But if we stand in our own light and say, okay, this is me, this is the authentic me, you will attract, because we're like a magnet, we're going to attract the people that are most appropriate for us, for the skills that you have, and for the knowledge that you have. And because you're on that true of self, then you are bringing in people that can help you in the energy exchange and knowledge, like you said, Scott. You just link in with the right people. And we need, I suppose it's a case of making an effort to really be our true selves, so that our spirit and our soul can do the work in its fullest light and color that it can for whoever gets drawn to everybody. But it is important. We've most probably all done it. Oh yes, I'll try and do that. I'll try and do that. Yeah, and we are not standing in our full power. And I think we really have to take the bull by the horns and maybe be radical with ourselves to say, this is who I am. And this is my full light. But it comes and it meets everybody at a different time in their life. It really does.
Yes.
Let's ask this question, and I think we all know the answer to that, and I have that feeling that Leah does as well. So, are you saying be bold and tap into what comes from you innately? Patricia.
Sorry.
That's all right. I thought you were thinking.
No. Well, yes. I mean, really, for me, I hear a lot. I mean, I channel a lot. So they would be in. I mean, it just comes into me, really, what I need to do or say or be, because I'm serving, as David says, I'm serving God for sure, and doing more of it. I mean, it's not even something you have to think about, but I know that I'm dedicating much more time to prayer and all these things, and just developing all of that side of my life now. And if you'd asked me about a month ago, what are you doing? I would have said nothing. But actually, in the nothing I was doing, it's quite, it's just the way it is. And as Scott was saying, it is about flowing. I don't want to be confined or constricted. But I mean, I set that aside years ago. But also it's about acknowledging that power that you have, as you say, the innate power within, because that's God within, and it's embedded in you at a cellular level. And that is the oneness that we all have, that within us embedded, regardless of whatever title you might give it, all these religions and all the rest of it. It's the essence of God that is flowing through, or you might call it spirit or creator. That are, we get hung up in labels and names as well. But it's I've stepped into something new. It feels a lot more powerful to me. It's not, I know I'm talking about me, but it isn't about me at all. It's really very guided. I'm very aware that the universe, God, Creator, is listening to every word I say. And I mean, this has been rubber stamped all the time. It's like the time I went to Skye in the car and I passed that sign. I think it's round about Dorney for those that know the area. And it says where the eagles fly. And I sort of said, where eagles fly? I've never seen an eagle up here. I don't believe that. And I'm telling you, we went round a corner and there was an eagle came right in the front windscreen of the car. His talons were like that, right in front of us. And I said at the time, you know, my goodness, they're really listening. And of course, I find the island of Skye quite a mystical place, and that's where we were headed to. So then you come round another corner and you see this beautiful bridge. What a beautiful bridge they built to Skye. And I said to Bill, I said, I'd love to meet the guy that designed that bridge and built it. I would love that. So then we go over this beautiful bridge and we were training, staff training at the Kinloch Hotel, owned by Claire MacDonald and her husband Godfrey, who she called God all the time, which was a bit disconcerting. But anyway, so we go and she shows us into this most beautiful place, and she says, take a seat there. And we sat down on a big gold chaise longue thing, table up the middle, table on the other side, 3 gentlemen sitting there. And I'm just so glad Bill was with me because he verifies the whole story. So I'm sitting looking over at these guys and we're smiling and beautiful day, isn't it lovely? And I said, that is such a beautiful bridge. I'd love to meet the guy who designed and built all of this. He says, would you? I said, I would. He says, well, this. Shook his hand. And he was sitting on the chair right there, and we spoke, and you know, and he was doing some follow-up with something. And I mean, it is Lord and Lady MacDonald's place we were in. And that's the kind of thing that happens to me incredibly often, all these mystical things as well, which I think are always to reassure me that they are listening. God is listening to every word we say on a program like this. And you know, I got shivers every now and again when somebody would be speaking that that really resonates. So I'm listening to my body because my body is acknowledging what you're saying. I'm not guiding that at all. But I mean, these conversations are wonderful, and they open people's minds. It is enlightening, that is the word. Beautiful. So thank you, Sarah, for the opportunity, as you say, just to talk about things like this and the harmony. There's great harmony here, isn't there? Heart harmony. Okay, thank you, bless you. I haven't often one there. I'm so sorry. That's...
Oh, no, it's a real pleasure. We have got a few minutes left. So if I come to the other two first, and then I'll come back to you. But is there anything that somebody would like to, either of you would like to add to this that you think we haven't touched on, or just expand on? So sort of Scott.
Well, I'd love to listen to our dear guest and talk about her singing career and what she did through that. I dearly love to hear that story, some of those stories. But I think that the message that has come across today is about being present and about listening and about taking the time in your life to be able to be quiet, stop your mind, and just listen to your body. a lot of the work that I do is I find that I bring people back into their body, doing Reiki, pulling them back into their body because they're in their head so much. And when they're in their body and they take a moment and they take a breath, they can hear and they can listen to what is real. And they can listen to their heart, to their soul so much better because they don't have all of this going on. And all of a sudden they start making different decisions about their life. They see things a little bit differently simply by taking a breath, simply by being quiet, simply by being present, fully present in that moment. And that's really what it's all about, I think. Thank you.
David.
Yeah, it's been so interesting. And there's so much to this subject, isn't there, that we could talk about. But I think it really is about, as soon as we can, start learning about us, not the person in the mirror, not the David in the mirror, but the person within. That's a name that has been given to us, but it doesn't decipher us. So I think everybody should do a little bit of that soul searching, if you want to call it that, and saying, who am I? And like Scott says, taking that time and sitting in and trusting these inner messages, these gut feelings about who we are and what we feel. And I think the more we can get to know ourselves, the more we can expand and be more of ourselves, because in this life in general, and I won't talk about any particular institution or anything, we are told we are this and you're that. And right from the word go, we're almost being squashed from ourselves into here. And as soon as we can, we need to unsquash ourselves and find out who we truly are. And I think the more we can do that, the more powerful we will feel in ourselves, and not feel, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, but I am this and I am that. And I think the more we can step into that power and expand and be ourselves, we're all light beings, we're all energy, and we are immense if we allow ourselves to come out of that box. I'm just David, and I can't do this because I'm not tall enough, or I'm too tall for that. And I think the more we encompass ourselves and get to know ourselves, the more light will shine on this planet like Billy-O.
Absolutely, David.
A thought here while you were both speaking. We talked about joy earlier. And how does joy make you feel? What does joy do to here and here? For me, I know when I look out at those stars at night, there is no thought. It is just joy. It is like that. Take a breath. Say, take a breath, give yourself just give yourself a chance to breathe. And actually joy, that absolute pleasure at looking at us. Oh, Orion's visible tonight. I can see the moon. That little bird. Yes, that joy, that pleasure takes you out of here and brings you down to here. So if you're in that place of worry, or find something that brings you that joy, that can take you out of your head. It's why I love to go for a walk, and I'm very lucky. I've got a small woodland just over the road. I can go and walk in the woods. I just put the wellies on when it has been as wet as it has. But I can do that. And going for that walk in nature is my switch my head off time. Get out of whatever work it is I'm doing, whatever is going on in my life, and allow yourself to become who you are. And do you know what? The walking thing I've been doing forever. My insecurities as a child. My parents had a dog, my grandparents had a dog, and they lived in the same house. And I would just take the dogs for a 2-hour walk. In my early teens, I would just vanish because it was the only time I didn't feel pressure from everything around me because of my insecurities and my people pleasing. So I have been doing that for years before I even understood any of that. Find your joy and allow yourself to tap into it. And it helps you to tap into yourself. That's a thought for you. Patricia, any final words?
Yes. Well, I agree with everything that everyone's saying. It's just wonderful. And I think, David is, of course, suggesting to go within and expanding, etc. I find the best way to do that is meditating and using the power of this third eye that we all have, and really developing that, the use of colour there, and bringing that into your meditation and your visualization. While you're doing that for yourself, you can balance your own chakras, you can ground yourself, you can connect more powerfully to spirit, and you can talk and listen and wait for the answer. And it is about being quiet. I think David mentioned that it's about listening effectively with the messages that are coming in, or the feelings, or however you experience it. But yeah, I just love doing that. And I love doing it outside, where you can absorb the sounds that you're talking about, the little birds and all of that. And, I just feel we've got 2 cats, and I can't encourage the birds too much. It's a bit of a dichotomy, that one, because it's not good. But anyway, I've now got a big dome. Bill has built me a dome of wire mesh, so we can both manage to get round it. But yeah, it's about really connecting. But you see, I feel I can connect with birds. I talk to them. I mean, if you would really think I was mad if you were there, I talk particularly to the crows, because we have a lot of crows, and they have a lot to say, and they want to bring forth. You get that, Sarah? Yes. They love chatting. First thing in the morning, I go out about 9. I'm not an early bird, but I just say, well, morning all. So at that and the plants, they do talk, and we don't have the best soil here, so we've struggled a bit with that. But yeah, I mean, that's what everybody's saying it, becoming more in touch with the essence of who you are and expanding it. And, we really need to explore more, because I don't think we've discovered all we can do yet. I think we're mighty, mighty beings, and there's a lot more to come. So we just all need to keep channeling and sharing what we're getting. I think that's a great idea, to share ideas and things. But it's been a great pleasure to be all on here with you all. Really has. Thank you. Bless you.
A massive thank you to Patricia for joining us. I'm going to obviously say thank you to Scott, but I'm also going to say a very big thank you to David, because other than our next program, which is going to be on Christmas Day, when David and I are just going to do a short program for you, it's actually going to be his last regular visit as a panelist on this program. So I'd like to say thank you to David for, I think it's probably just over a year or whatever that you've been doing this. And so thank you so very much. For a while, we're going to continue just myself and Scott, because we've got a series of programs that we're going to be bringing you in the new year, with a couple of guests each for each of the programs, to do with a book that Scott and I both were authors in. So it's about sort of wisdom. And we're going to be Gifts of Wisdom. That's what it's called. I kept thinking about its original title and I couldn't remember the Gifts of Wisdom. Sorry, David. The other David, the David that was the lead author. So we're going to be doing that. But in a fortnight's time, David and I are just going to be doing a short program with some hints and tips and thoughts, and goodness knows where the conversation will go. It'll go wherever it's going, won't it, David?
Yeah, we just fly by the seat of our pants.
Oh, absolutely. We love doing that anyway. But next week, I'm being joined by Elizabeth McPherson, and she's going to be talking about calm by decluttering. Yeah, if you can see all the clutter I've got around me, but I own it. It doesn't own me. Take care, folks. I am so grateful to all of you for being here. Thank you to those of you that have been watching live. If anybody has sort of missed any of this, the video will be up on YouTube by tomorrow morning. Please, and I will send the links to all my guests as well. Thank you to each and every one of you. I hope you've enjoyed this. Oh, and Patricia's website, I will make sure is put under the video with all of us. You have still got your website, haven't you, Patricia?
It's a different one. I'll send you the new one.
Oh, is that PI Healing at IE?
Yeah, that's it. No, that's fine. That's lovely.
Yeah, I've got that. So there's Patricia in the chat.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
And so thank you, folks. Take care. Be safe. Stay well. See you soon.
Bye bye. Bye bye.